Hey, so listen, we're going to talk about the four C's of vetting for dating. I was trying to hold out on this because I wanted to confront more of the topics that help us actually resolve some things within ourselves as individuals and not focus on the dating thing. Only because we need to heal first. You need self love, you need self care, you need to know your value and your worth. And if you don't know that, how in the world are we going to hop and skip the steps and get into relationship building if you don't handle all the other things? If you don't get to understand most of those things and heal and get whole and get understanding so that you can have the tools to be able to vet a person. We got to vet. So there are the four C's of vetting in a relationship. Let's talk about it. You understand? Let's talk about it. Okay, got to get a little sip of this water, coconut water. And we're going to talk about this topic because I talk about this quite a bit with friends and over the years, and just trying to make sure that we're doing the right things. And we didn't always get it right, but in having an understanding as a life coach and being able to come up with something that makes sense. It's sensible, it's simple, it is a way to vet people that most people aren't doing. Most people are going for the shiny object, that's hanging in front of them. Ooh, they got a nice car. Ooh, they look so fine. Ooh, she's so beautiful. Oh my God, her body. His muscles. All the superficial things. Now, don't get me wrong. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't have anybody that you can look at. You Beauty has to be in the eye of the beholder. You being the beholder, you must be able to look at the person even if no one else can. And that's all that matters. Nothing else about what anybody else thinks about that and what someone looks like and looks good to you. That's all that matters. And all you need is the respect from friends, family, colleagues, and the like to the person you have chosen to be your own, right? Or to join unions with. So this is what this is about. How to get to that point. How do we vet people out? There's four things. It's so simple. It's really simple, but we have complicated it. The world, okay? The world has complicated it. Watching movies, television, and in books, some of the books have romanticized all of this love thing. Now, there's nothing wrong with some romantic things within it, but there are vital tools and jewels that you have to have. And I want you to put this in your bag so when you really need, pull this tool out, pull these jewels out, because these things I'm going to be dropping, it's so simple, but the world is complicated. So let's simplify it. I believe the Most High makes things very simple, but the world has taken it and done something else to it. So let's get into it. Dating, number one, is for collecting data. Collecting data. What is collecting data? That is information. 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 You're supposed to be collecting information. So let's talk to my ladies right quick. Nothing wrong with a coffee date. Nothing wrong with a breakfast date. Nothing wrong with going to get tea. Nothing wrong with going to a park with like some sandwiches and just chilling or just sitting on the bench with a smoothie. Nothing wrong with that, because if you find that, and for the man who may be deciding, hey, I don't mind taking a, $10, $20 to foot the bill on something that small. We're living in an economy right now. Even if people were like rolling in the dough, it's nothing wrong with being able to spend less money on people you don't know yet. You don't know if you want to even spend the whole day with someone. You're going to take an hour or two or three or whatever and get to know someone over coffee, over tea, over a walk in the park, over some smoothies, and just being able to interact. Maybe it is an interactive date, but it is something where you can sit down in front of each other, beside each other, and talk about life and ask questions where people can be relaxed. And No one is spending a ton of money to just get to know someone. I know for me, I do not want to spend money on people I don't know yet. Who are you, and why am I spending $200 on whatever food at some fancy restaurant? That doesn't make sense to me. I would die if my brother was spending that kind of money on someone whom he hadn't known yet, but he may have thought she was really attractive and all of that. That's not enough. You have to you have to know someone to want to spend that kind of money on someone. Maybe you do have it. I don't care if you're a multimillionaire. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? Why would you set yourself up like that? Because I would think that you would want to be more unassuming, and to want somebody to get to know you for you, as opposed to sizing up your dollars and cents, right? You want to make sure people are into you. So this is why the 4 C's are important for men and for women, to be able to know that these are the people that you want to even go on the next date with. And the next date, and as it gets better, it gets bigger. It gets better, it can get bigger. You know, you have something to look forward to. And if I give it all to you at one time, then you have nothing to look forward to. And there's no surprises at all coming from somebody who may want to give it to you, who, because they see something in you worthy of it. So if you go back on my other videos, we talk about worth and self-value and all these things. This is a combination coming together for what we're talking about today. Okay, what we're talking about right now in this video, and you're going to understand why if you go back and look at those videos about the worth and self-love and all of these things, and high value, low frequency. I talk about this so that you'll have an idea about what you need to be doing for self before you even come to the part where you are dating anybody. Because who wants to date someone who doesn't even know who they are? Who wants to date someone who doesn't have direction and purpose? Who hasn't even walking in their purpose, or at least on the journey towards their purpose? And it's visibly seen that you are walking in that. You are doing something in the earth to even for it to even manifest for you. I'm trying to get my thoughts, but it is something that you have to do. We all have to do it. It is a part of life, or you'll whittle down and die. You would just die, not maybe physically, but you will die emotionally and spiritually. So let's get into further into the dating process. Collect the data. Collect the data. Nothing wrong with that. You should be dating multiple people. Multiple people minus the sack, the things that adults do who are married. We'll say it like that. The things that adults do who are married, that is sacred. And we have done a disservice, that's a better word, a disservice to ourselves by hopping into the thing that adults do who are married before we even know who the person is. So many children are without a mother, a father, or both because of this. So we have to reset things and get things in order so that you know what to do, so that you too can build a family unit, right? So that you can go forth and teach your children to build their families based on the love that you share with the person that you took the time out to vet. And you give your children the same tools, because now you live in a household that's filled with wisdom and knowledge and the tools and the love and the kindness that you're going to bestow upon your children, because the foundation has been set. So this is where we start to recorrect, we start to correct. I'm making up words. We start to correct, and we start to reevaluate what we've done in the past as to what we need to do to set the future on the right path. Yeah. Okay. Because it's going to be imperative that we do this. Slow down. Slow down. This is not a race. It is not a race to get married or to be in a relationship. It is not a race, because truth be told, a marriage is a calling. It is not something you check off of a list of goals or things to do. Your goals list, things to do, that kind of thing. You can have that definitely in mind, and you should be prepared and be marriage minded. That means you should be in the mind of being married, but you also have to have the tools. You have to be healed. You have to be whole. You want to be working on those things so that when somebody, if you are in that, your frequency goes up. You have a high frequency, your high value because you are working on the tools that actually put you in the mind and your spirit is ready to receive somebody who may approach you, want to pursue you in the way of marriage. But if you don't do the work, you can't be available. You won't be available. You won't know what to do and you'll flub it. You will flub it up. You will flub it up not knowing what to do if someone is presented to you in a way, potentially could be someone you're like, oh my gosh, she looks beautiful, or oh my gosh, he's handsome, but you don't know what to do with that because all you see is the outside, the external. You don't know to ask the questions. You don't know um, anything, how to start this thing. You want to spend all the kinds of money to try to impress and all of those things. No, the impression comes once you find out that you want to further know who this person is, and then you want to take them on another date and another date and another time, and then you want to sit, you want to talk, you want to keep talking, you want to have some fun, go out to different places and have fun and communicate, right? See what the person mind is, see where their mind is, see if they're minding their business, right? So we have to get things in order because we as a society have gotten it all wrong. And because of that, we have all the stuff we have in the mix up and the mishams and the wahala dealing with relationships and what the world has said it should be and what we need it to be and what the Most High says it's supposed to be. It's two different things because the Most High created all these things for marriage, not just a date. Like um, I tell my child, dating, when she says, I want to date, no, you can't date. Why? Because when at the level, right? It's levels to this. Talking about boyfriend, girlfriend, you will always be in that boyfriend, girlfriend stage. You, you will always be there. You are a wife, you're a husband. So preparing for that is to get the tools for that, right? I know people will listen to this and not say, well, no, I'm not interested in that. That may be not what I want to do. You can't tell anybody what to do. Well, you do what you want to do. But I'm going to tell you what marriage was made for. It was made from the Most High for the people of Yah and for His sake. So you can not agree with that, and that's okay. I'm not the channel for you. You go on and do what you got to do. Do as thou wilt and do what you need to do. But here we're talking about this. So we need to reset this thing. And how do we reset this thing? There's four ways, basic ways to do this. One of the things you need to not be afraid of is asking questions. Ask questions. Ask questions. I don't mean rattle them off like you're firing a pew pew. I mean, ask the questions at the beginning stages where people are open. People are more open, they're less closed, they're everything. They're open to you because they don't know you. People tell more to strangers than they do people they really, love. And because out of trying to protect themselves, they have nothing to protect themselves from you. So they are more open, more palatable, right? They just seem to be more open. I know that I've had strangers to sit beside me and tell all their lives, and I'm like, because I will not criticize them. I won't judge them, and they need to get that off their chest. And they go home and all the judgment and all the stuff just flies everywhere, and they can't be themselves. So ask the questions at the beginning stages. Just don't rattle them off, and you hope that maybe if the questions are going great, that the person will want to see you again. And then you want to see each other again. So it's not one sided. You want to see them and they want to see you, and it goes to the next date and the next date, and and it's to a point where, my goodness, they can't see themselves without you. Okay. And in the other cultures, they usually have their aunties and uncles and people in the community, in the village, in the tribe. They are vetting these people out. They're vetting these people out. Get your family involved in the dating process, the things that you're doing. It is important for them to be involved in that. Not to the point where they're involved in your actual marriage, because but you're not there, but involved in being able to vet this person out, because you may see one thing and they may see another, and you want to be able to take in the wisdom of elders and people who care about you and want to see nothing but the best for you. So there's that. So here, the four C's. There's communication. Communication, I'm gonna tell you, that's probably some people's biggest hurdle. It is the biggest hurdle. When communicating is hard for people to do. It's hard for people to look people in their eyes. Soft skills, which we are lacking in the society more and more. Being able to look someone in the eye and ask a question, talk to them just randomly, and engage in good conversation, wholesome conversation, whatever, a little flirting, light stuff. But you are afraid to communicate. You're afraid to ask questions. You're afraid to just talk about anything, any topic. The biggest thing is that, and I'm going to tell you, you have to work on other things so that things don't trigger you. And if things trigger you when people ask questions, then there's a bigger problem there. There's an underlining problem, to maybe why you don't communicate as well as you would like, and as well as others you have seen. Work on your healing. Get yourself in counseling. Get yourself in therapy. Get over the hump of hearing things that may trigger you, because people are going to ask questions because they want to know more of who you are. They want to know, and they should know. And if you're not ready for that, then maybe dating is not for you. Courting is not for you. And because these things are preparing you for marriage, not just to go from one man to the next, or one woman to the next, to the next, to the next, and so forth and so on. This is to be able to find the mate, right? So, and the spouse. So let's just say that mate, spouse, same thing. So I'm gonna use it interchangeably. The next thing is compatibility. My goodness, you know, people kind of harp on that a little bit more. Compatible. I'm so compatible. We're so compatible. Oh my goodness, we're so compatible. Listen, you could be compatible with a tree. You know what? You could be compatible with a dog. I mean, because the dog is really liking you. Your compatibility, um, it ranks up there because you do have to have some similarities, some things that you do have alike, but you can be compatible with somebody you don't like because you have the same interests, and you just don't like how they flow, how they do in other areas. So be careful of that when you talk about compatibility, because you can be compatible with your start enemy, and that is the truth. Because they can embody some of the things you like. They like swimming, you like swimming. You like to read, they like to read. You like climbing a mountain, they like climbing a mountain. You like traveling, they like. I mean, all these things. These are things that you can really have in common with people you just don't like. So being compatible is a great thing, but having some things of the opposite is even more attractive. Why? Because you can learn from people who do something different than you. They have different interests than you, but you want that compatibility. The compatibility that really counts is your moral compatibility, right? The things that morally, that moral fiber that ties you together, because those are the things that eliminate a lot of strife and a lot of conflict within friendships and relationships, right? So you want to make sure on a moral level that you are compatible there, that you are equally yoked. That's the compatibility that you want more than anything, because if you're not equally yoked in so many areas, you this will not um, fare well, okay? And you will know it. And it's okay, because it's better to know early than to get into a deeper relationship, a marriage, um, and now you find these things out because you're afraid to ask the questions. You're afraid to ask the questions. Do not be afraid to ask the questions. Ask the questions. Find out, because there may be some real conflict there in every aspect. Because you can learn to play basketball. You can learn to play cards. You can learn to swim. You can learn to ride a bike if you've never ridden a bike. These are things outside of you. You can learn a lot of things, but when it comes to something moral and something that's in alignment with one another, you want to eliminate as many conflicts as possible. It won't be all, because you'll have conflict of a difference of opinion. That's going to happen. You have that with friends now, and you're not married to them. You have that with family, you're not married to them, but they're just family, and those are just friends. But the same process that you vet your potential spouse with, you do the same thing with your friends. Understand this, because the person you're deciding on being with for the rest of your life, and that bond, you need to make sure you like them like a friend. But steps, there are more things involved in this process when it comes to a spousal kind of relationship, and in deeper relationship and intimate relationships, a little bit more in depth, right? But this same premise can be applied to your friendships, and that way you know that you have solid people in your life. Okay, so connection. Number three is connection. So to have a connection, that connection is something, it's not a spark, it's a knowing. It's not butterflies. If it's butterflies, run. You don't want no butterflies. When you have a connection, it's a knowing, like you know this person. Like you know this is good, because anything the Most High does is good. It's good. You know, it's like something about this person is really good, and I like it. I like how I feel around them. I like what they talk about. I like the direction they're going. I see how they handle people. I see how they do, how they be. I see something in them that's really drawing me closer to want to know more about them. It's a connection that you can't really put words to, but it's not butterflies. It is not something you are forcing to have happen. It is something that you just know. And you've heard old people say this, right? And people who have been married for a long time, you've heard people say this, and they'll say, I just knew it was him. I just knew it was her. There's something with that. When you know, it is something you I can't even explain it. You just know. You just know that's the person. That's my person. That's it. You just know. And it's not, I think people today have forced it to be their person, but it's deeper than that. It's so much deeper than that, because if it's your person for real, a lot of people I know would still be married. So you know it's forced. Today, people have done a lot of superficial things to force those connections, force compatibility, force communicate. Well, really, they really didn't communicate, because when I've asked them, like, did you talk? Did you ask all the questions that you needed to ask? I remember asking all my friends this: Did you did you ask the questions that you need to ask? This is before they said I do. I was never one to say, no, 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 you don't need to marry them. I just ask questions. Are you sure? Are you sure about this? Did you ask all the questions you needed to ask? Did you get the answers that you needed to get? That right there. And when they said yes, and it's the way they said it, I said, they didn't ask all the questions. It is imperative on both sides of the fence that you ask all the questions necessary, because you may want somebody to and these are on the surface things. You may want somebody who cooks, and they don't know how to cook, and they don't have no desire. But your idea of what a spouse, a woman, a wife is to cook. You may want somebody who's a handyman, and because your dad was handy with his hands and all of these, he knew how to fix anything, and this man has two left thumbs. Like you have to either be able to compromise on these things and understand that that's not the man you want to marry, but he has all these other attributes that are compatible with you, that brings a connection, right? There are other parts and aspects of him that's not like what my father is, but he holds something else that reminds me of people that I love, that brings it, makes it feel like home to me, right? And she brings something that, wow, she brings that thing out of me. She makes me want to be that king and do for her and do all and be all I can be. You know, she's inspires me. She lifts me up, and all these are like these are things. It's the flow. It's a dance. It's a thing. It's a knowing. It's a knowing, but you have to ask the questions first. You have to ask these questions first to understand who you are going to intertwine your life with. You can't just go based on looks. You can't go based on, oh, big house, nice car. They travel, they do this, they got a lot of money, they got the nice body. Those things are superficial. They're superficial and they fade. They can go away real quick, really quick, quick story. Had a coworker long time ago. We used to work some at one company. A lot of times, depending on the arena that you're working in, you're gonna meet these people again in different jobs and different settings. And I saw him again. I said, "Hey, what's going on?" Because we had all got laid off of this one position, and we got laid off, and so now we're at this new company, and I see him. I say, "Hey, what's going on?" And when I tell you, family God, family God, family God, everyone knew this. And he says, "Hey, I need to talk to you." And I said, "Okay, let's talk." So we sat for lunch one time, and I said, "Well, how's your wife? How's your family?" And he was like, "We're not together." And I was like, "Oh my God, dude, I, what?" This man just loved and gushed over his wife and everything. And I say this to say, and let me back up first. He tells me that she left him because he had gotten laid off and he didn't have any more money. Like he wasn't bringing in the money yet, but he was laid off. But he was bringing in money because he had unemployment and severance and all of that. But it wasn't what she wanted. And instead of being there to lift him up and to be the wife, to be the supportive person, because he had put her in a position where she didn't have to do as much. He took care of things. So I wonder how many questions he asked about her, right? Because she was betting on something else, and see how materialistic this person was, and the lack of respect that she's showing her husband because she looked at the material thing. She went off to be with someone else because of she perceived this other person had money, and he did not. He looked good, but he did not. And then, of course, he wanted to come back. She wanted to come back to her husband. Her husband says, "No, no, no. You left. You're gone." So, of course, this man is hurt because I knew him as a family guy, and it was just like, wow. I hope a wonderful woman comes your way to bring you joy. To help to, Of course, I want him to have his own joy, but to really give him what everything that he deserves, right? But him too was like, ask questions. Make sure that whoever the next woman is in your life, you really do a deep dive into who she is and take your time. And don't look at the outward things. Make sure you look at the inward things. Now, that was just a scenario because that scenario could be really flipped because you have women today who make a lot of money. And you have women today who who really are out here doing their thing, right? And you can have men who prey on that. So it could be the reverse in this situation, but in this situation, it was more what we, I guess, traditional, accustomed to. But you see what's happening? People are not asking questions, and you don't want to be with someone whom you haven't completely vetted out to know truly. And I know there are people out here who will play a role until they will play it until death do you part, for real. It's like there are people who prey on, these are sociopaths. These are people who are preying on everything in your life and everything about you. And so, but there are ways to be able to vet that out as well. Okay. And by you asking these questions and taking your time, you will vet people out, and not really betting on one person. Dating two or three people, meaning you're actually interviewing, collecting data on two or three people that have of interest, that you would just want to see what these people are about. You want to see who is aligning with you and making sure there's a connection there, making sure there's compatibility, making sure that you communicate effectively, sincerely, kindly, right? With understanding. Fourth thing, character. Character, character, character. When I tell you, this is when you get into your high and low frequency, high value, low value. You get into the high value, low value thing. When you get into the character thing, you bringing in all of that. When you deal with character, these are intrinsic values that are important, that are very important to everything that I've said above that. Okay, quick story. I hope it's quick. Quick story. On social media, you're on Facebook. You just, back then when Facebook was fairly new, we have discussions, and someone says, "Hey, what do you see in a person of interest? And what would you want?" And people were saying, "I want him to have a nice hot car, a nice house, and not all these superficial." I mean, they listed like 4 or 5 superficial things. Same thing with the men, superficial things. She's got to have a nice body. She's got to have all these great, these other external attributes, right? She can cook and all these things. My list was probably like a Christmas list. My list was like a Christmas list because my list was listed of character traits: kind, generous, loving, supportive, community. You know, he is enterprising. That means someone who can take nothing and make it into something. He can be at the lowest and just explode, because he has a growth mindset. He's not stagnant. He is forgiving. He is caring. I mean, the list continued. It just went on and on and on and on and on. Because for me, I want someone who embodies what the Most High embodies. And those things were patience, right? Forgiveness, willingness to forgive and understand and know me and wanting to know me and all of these things. And I just went on this list. It's like, oh my God, who's going to live up to that? And I'm just like, who wouldn't want to live up to that? I didn't ask for all the material possessions because those are the things would be harder for someone to keep maintaining all the time. These are the things that people should embody. But we come from a traumatized people. It's like you get your healing first, you get your therapy sessions going, your counseling sessions going, whatever works for you. But you got to get the healing part. You got to get your value up and understand who you are and understand your self worth, making sure that you embody that. So you're rising on a high frequency with the most high. Okay. We're on a higher frequency. And we're on a high frequency. That means we have high value in all areas of our life. And therefore, when you're there, you will attract all kinds, but you will entertain only those who are high frequency, high value, and not low frequency, low value. And it has absolutely nothing to do with money. Absolutely nothing to do with money. It is everything to do with intrinsic value. Everything. And that is the icing on the cake, is to have someone with good character, wonderful character. So I look at my dads, and when I look at them, and this is my stepfather and my real father, the character that they have, the character traits that they have, they embody. It was so wonderful. I took from each one of them those good traits that I saw in them, and that I would want in a man, and so I got that in a man. So it's it that right there, like when you have that in your life, the other men, my cousins and my uncles and all these men who, even through their mistakes and failures and things like that, there were good qualities that they had within them that I would sit with them and talk to them about a lot of things, and just talking with them all the time. And it's just, those are things you get from the people around you And if you don't have that, there's got to be men in the community that are good, upstanding kind of men if you're a woman. And there are women who are good, upstanding women of moral thing. People have of moral fiber within them that you can go to if you don't have parents that had those values and displayed them in front of you. My mom and my stepfather displayed that in front of me. My dad and his wife, it displayed that in front of me, like the love, the concern, the consideration. So I'm getting into some of the things that character traits are, that the friendship, the intention, the understanding, the consideration. When you consider the person, when you consider them, that is top tier. When you're on their mind when they're about to do something, when you are not even there, they are working for you without you knowing. They're making sure you're good. They're considering you in everything that they do. And it's not about giving you all this material thing. Then again, it can be. There's nothing wrong with getting a nice bracelet, some flowers, a trip. Those are things that you will get, I'm sure, if that's what you desire, right? If your man, your husband wants to give to you. But until then, in the dating phase, you are trying to make sure that these people possess these things, that therefore you want to give of yourself, you want to give of your shoulder, you want to give of your heart, you want to give of your time, you want to give of your ear, to listen, not just hear them in the wind like, yeah, 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 I hear you, but no, to listen and take in what they're saying, embody who they are, like, wow, engage in who they are, finding out. That consideration is so important. For me, it's top tier. It is top tier. When you consider me like you're considering the Most High, you consider me like you consider yourself. That means you're covering me. That means you're protecting me. That means you're loving me. That means you're kind to me. That means I'm in your every thought and every move that you make. Who wouldn't want that? Who wouldn't want that? Y'all, tell me. Tell me who wouldn't want that. Who would want somebody who's kind to them and kind to their family and their friends? Not just your friends, their friends. How do they show up? How do they show up for the people that they care about? How do they show up and treat people who are strangers, who those strangers can't do nothing to return a favor? Nothing. How do they do that? And it's not a performance, it is truly who they are. That's what you're looking at. That's what you're looking for when you're dealing with the men or the women. This is not a gender thing. This is a people thing. This is a Most High thing. Okay? Emotional intelligence. Yay. Emotional intelligence is being able to control your feelings, control your how you emote, control what triggers you, what doesn't trigger you, right? You don't allow things to trigger you, to cause your emotions to just be all out of whack. You don't when someone has intentions on frustrating you, you don't get frustrated as easily. Things don't rattle you as much. You know why? Because your emotional intelligence is in control. You are in control of your emotions because the questions you're asking is this true? Is this true? Okay. Is this for me? Is this about you? Right? You're asking these questions before you start to just go off the deep end, with someone who's just bringing something in your space and to you that you may not have a clue about. And then again, you may. But is it true? Is this about me? What did I do? How can we resolve this? What solution can we come to? Even if we don't agree, what is the best way we can handle this without fighting, without raising your voice, without being rattled or frustrated or angry? Now, don't get me wrong. You have the right to be angry in certain circumstances, right? There are circumstances when you have to protect yourself, when you have like real protection, like someone is coming and attacking you directly. Yes. But there are times when your words can inflame the fire of something that really shouldn't even have been lit. If you're a person who has emotional intelligence, you can diffuse a situation. You can diffuse anything and de-escalate things so that you're in control and they have to move to the beat of your drum. Emotional intelligence. Ask questions like, "Are you okay? Do you need to talk about this? I'm detecting that there may be something going on, and I want to make sure that you're good. Are you good? Do you need to really vent this out because I want to understand what's going on. Am I at fault here? I'm willing to take on a responsibility if it's my fault, but let's discuss. Let's discuss it. Let's talk about it. You don't let nobody rattle you because you don't want anyone to lower your frequency because you ride at a high frequency, so you're totally in control of your emotions. And anything that anyone tries to bring at you to try to trigger you, to try to knock you off your square so that you can't think, you start to think with your emotions instead of with your mind and your heart at the same time, understanding that, hey, maybe there's some care that needs to be handled, be at hand here. There's some understanding. There's another way for us to come to a conclusion on this. The four C's: communication, compatibility, connection, and character. If you start out with those four and ask questions, you will get to the bottom of anything that you want to know about anyone. Anyone, be it a business partnership, friendships, family connections, and definitely that person you're looking for to be that significant other. You will discover it. You will find them out. Trust me, minus the things that adults do who are married. So look at the four C's of vetting. Understand this. Go back over the video. I'm sorry, this is a little longer than I expected, but I think that this one was important because I hear a lot about what's going on in the dating world out here on these social media streets, and a lot of people got it all kind of confused, and I want to deflate the confusion, remove the confusion out the room and the truth, bring in the truth so that we'll have an understanding because marriage was made for the Most High, from the Most High for us. So we know how to vet properly. If we know how to vet properly and we'll understand who we are, we'll understand the other person, we'll know what to do, we'll have our tools, we'll have our jewels in our bag from our wisdom. People, our wisdom, our elders with wisdom, and we pull that out and we'll be able to understand where we need to be, who we need to be with, and where we're going. This is Deanna Inspires, and this is Inspired Perspectives. I hope that you got something from this conversation, something from this channel. Look at my other videos, and where I talk about the worth, your self-worth, and that you are enough because you are enough. And the four C's of vetting. This is what we were talking about today. And you know what? I'll see you in the next video.